fully destroyed. There's something strangely legitimizing about seeing your tournament name painted onto the ground. Spadskig coming out with the D-line. And really, when games are held in this kind of weather, they could turn so quickly on almost anything, with either side having the opportunity to try and tear out in front. Gentil. And you can see Basket coming out with his own. It's the smart move and something we expect to see an awful lot of in these conditions. The rain, the wind, they form extra defenders. Discs are harder to catch under the pressure that zones inflict. And speed is difficult to get to as they slowly melt into a match defense. That one's a little bit risky, but eventually winds up in Boumalal's hands. And there, the hand-blocked hammer. And then the casual walk of Fabian Binder says no. So Tobias Hare picks it up, quick dry. Looking for the breaks, normally so adept with the flick breaks, but that is a hard throw to get right in these conditions. So he's just going to hang up the open around. The swing keeps coming, is Gentle biting on the heels, but nobody seems to want to go too much deeper than that. Hare absolutely selling Aaron van de Vee, and then calling a foul on it, which technically seems to be a foul. That's rough. To be embarrassed like that and to have to give up a foul. Rough day at the office for van de Vee. But Tobias Hare is nippy. He is crafty. And he is going to be a focal point for this bad skid offense once they get the turn. Focused very much on the dump. I think normally he would have taken that deep shot if he'd known it was there. There goes the deep shot. Lots of pressure, plenty of Gentil defenders. And Matthias Verbereis doing his best. Verbereis doing his best. That would have been a sensational grab. You've got to look out for number 33, Toby Decrane. He's so athletic in the air, slightly misjudging that one, but a constant threat. And now the overheads start coming. This is the spice we want. De Potter sends it back in and spreading it out to the opposite side. Gentle, much more relaxed. The rain is starting to ease off. Will it tempt them into a longer shot? It does, to their detriment. A tough one, but an understandable one. As now Badskid are going to have another look. There's going to be a lot of turns in these games when you're playing in these conditions and teams are trying to adapt to them. Really the first team to lock down and go on a run can find themselves holding on to it for the rest of the match. A lot of it comes down to the timing with the weather. Can you knock out a few points while it's quiet? Then it picks back up and you just grind the game to a halt. Hare with the huge inside break and just too much nip. Normally, you'd expect that to be brought in, but under that kind of pressure, in these kind of conditions, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within this sporting arena, we will see it. No. As here comes Gentil. Can see he is, they were absolutely eyeing up the deep shot instead, going for the quick up the line and a smooth slide, trying to fight their way back. That was not the easiest of passes. Aaron van de Vee starts it back into the middle. Boumalal is under more and more pressure. Vee has to come in. And there, the classic, normally playing Gentil, that would have been a deep shot. And you can even see from the sideline screaming up in anticipation. These teams know each other quite well. Again, you'd expect that deep shot. Completely free was Giuseppe De Potter. And there it goes. Van de Vee launches one. Who else but number 33 on the other end? You can ask those kinds of things of Toby Decrane, and a lot of the times he will give you a response that you're happy to hear. That time, just a bit too far away from him. Talking about responses that I'm always happy to hear. I'm now being joined in the booth by Director of Communications at xEUCF, Hannah Pendlebury. Heard you're battling the elements yourself, much like the players out there on the pitch, Hannah.
Absolutely. I've just come over from the other streaming field, you lucky people. You can have dual stream action all day, wall to wall. And we had a slight issue with our tent arrangement and the water coming in and flooding the desk with all the equipment. So it's fine, everything is still working. We managed to nip it in the bud, but it's a soggy day here in Bruges.
And it's only going to get soggier. But that was a pretty clean finish. Straight shot down the line. Arthur van der Vee gets the score comfortably, really.
It's like a jet out of a hairdryer.
So, lots of turns, lots of scrapping and battling. 2-1 to Gentil. It's a big deal, but really a hold. I've been more impressed with Gentil. Now, Hare has been trying his level best and has put up some great shots so far in this game. But right now, Gentil just look a little bit more comfortable. I suppose a natural thing to have on their side, given we are playing in Belgium.
Oh yeah, home field advantage. We did see the Mooncatchers have a home field advantage against Koos-Plafort at the beginning of the tournament.
That felt something like Manifest Destiny.
I like that phrase.
So now, Gentil. A lot of tall players, a lot of young talent coming up through, and a long-standing history as a club. Been going to tournaments around Europe. A lot of people have been lucky enough to come up against them. Always a joy. But looking to make a real statement. Undefeated so far. Going up against the undefeated Badskid, missing PJ, who is, you know, widely regarded as one of the best receivers in Europe.
We were talking about him actually on the car journey this morning. So Boris van der Look was giving us a ride to the fields. He was talking about how they played together in juniors. It was basically not allowed. People kept calling it back from throwing to PJ, but he said, what are the reasons not to throw it high when you have PJ?
It's another great point. One of the reasons not to throw it high when you're playing against Gentil, and one of those reasons is going to be Benjamin Viriken. A wily defender to match his extendo arms. And some nice throws as well. Viriken centers that back into Kotin. Badskid trying to turn up the clams. Kotin's forced to arc a big wide one all the way around. Lots of bodies contesting it, and Badskid trying to hit right back so they don't give up a break.
There seems to be a call on the play. Although I do really, really like the sheer length of that around. It's almost like he was so far extended, it was all wrist flick, just like a tiny little bit of snap. True chops.
Gentil 2, Badskid 1. Badskid hoping to get an offensive hold and tie the game up at 2s. It's going to be a bit of a war of attrition, Hannah.
It certainly is. Teams versus each other, but also the elements. Although, on the plus side, the wind is slightly less voracious right now.
For now. I wouldn't want to accidentally call it down upon us. Huge layout. Do you want to talk about voracious? Fantastic play.
Fuse.
Arthur Fuse. And then a huge shot going all the way downfield. That's number 69. He's still fighting, but good box out. Lots of contesting. Stefan Doscher.
And Nico Muir with just a little bit of a mac on it. And then Doscher closes the door.
So if you're in these conditions, are you thinking I'm going to keep taking these shots? The value of the disc is going to go down, and things like that are going to happen.
Yep, I was just about to think, and then my mind was just like Bruce Curtin with just the body block there. But the problem is, as I was about to say, the disc is extremely slippy. So we'll see what Gentil can do on the goal line, having been given the disc back. And
they get the break, big score.
And for Fuse.
Kind of. There was turnover in between.
Well, okay, fair enough. Actually, no, it's a good point, good point.
But his D was very impressive, and that was a great cut.
And that is what set it up, getting the disc back there and then putting that big huck. So in terms of how you play in these conditions, so as excellently demonstrated by Badskid, the problem is when it's this wet, the disc is so slippy. And it's not like when it's slightly soggy and you can get your jersey kind of like, you know, get a little bit of a cloth effect going on, give yourself at least one hand's worth of dry on the disc. You're sopping wet. It's going straight through every layer you have right to the ghoulie. So it's a case of you probably just want to try and play the game of numbers. You want to try and get out those hucks, give yourself a short field opportunity. It ain't pretty. It's filthy as it gets. But a bit of huck and D here, probably not the worst idea in the world.
Worked very well for Chantal. In fairness, Badskit did try to huck it right back. So we'll see how they respond as they continue to play through this game. Vad Vogel back into the middle. And they're taking their time still, working at this gentle zone slowly. Looking for the gaps. This is much better by Badskid. Might be looking at the first clean hold of the whole game. It's a great way to respond to a break. Marco Müller. You can see how difficult it is to make those short shimmy shake cuts on the dump end. It's just a mistake. I think you've got to just make big, clear cuts when in these conditions. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. Come back around later.
Absolutely. You've got 5 other teammates that can replace you. Big shot going up.
Well defended, and it was always dropping a little bit down.
Yeah, chance with a bit of contact, but I feel like the the offensive target knew that wasn't going to be. So if you are watching us live from your nice, safe, warm, dry environment, please let us know that you're here. Reach out to us. Send us a message in your comments. We want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from, and how nice is it to not be wet?
I'm not sure I remember what it is to not be wet. There's a word for it, I think. Legends sell.
Dry? Is it dry?
No, that means you don't like drinking. And this is, again, Badskit starting to really get the tracks moving in the muddy conditions. Working quickly amongst them. Hartmann pops it back, collects it again. Big, committed cuts to the break side and then popping it back to uprushing handlers. It's not a bad combination. Hartmann gets it off the Duscher. And that's a second hand block. There's 2 number 1s, so I don't know if that's Rietschoten or not, but number 1 in the tank top has gotten 2 hand blocks.
Oh yeah.
Now back to Toby Decrene. Oh, sorry, Benjamin Verrieken. Let me dry this disc by wiping it on my equally wet fingers.
Well, you can take some of the surface off. It's not truly dry, but it's slightly less saturated, perhaps.
Kutin thinks about sending it deep. It doesn't. Just about gets that dump off. Goes. Thinks about sending it. Holsters. And he was always thinking about sending that shot deep. Huge bid. What a grab. Benjamin Verrieken launching himself, scooping that up off the ground somehow.
I don't know exactly how. I swear he has magician magnet powers. Maybe that's the thing. That's the only thing you can do in this. So you get some iron shavings. You shove them underneath the Frisbee. You put some magnets on your fingers. And that's how you play in these conditions. Is that right?
I don't even know how magnets work.
Magic, Lorcan. They work through
Miracle.
Well, it's magnetism, you know? It's
I know about animal magnetism.
It's magnet.
That's when you like rub 2 dogs together and then you can stick a balloon to them.
So I believe it's fields of electrons. You know what? The Frisbee community is pretty bright. If you want to, give us a little explanation of what magnetism is and how magnets work for Lorcan, then, throw your hat in the ring in the comments. We'll live stream it later. We'll put it on Instagram Live. Someone explaining magnets to Lorcan.
I would actually appreciate... Well, I don't want to come off as anti-science, but I don't really care about electrons. And I know that might seem a little negative, but It's just how I feel. I'm more about the literature.
So that's another break for Gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean,
Bit of roughhousing.
well, coming into this game, I probably would have,
Would have backed Bad Skid? I would have
would've.
too. I was surprised to learn Gentle were undefeated, which is on me and not on them because they are playing very well. Big shot, arcing over and really well defended. Lander Decrané. The Decrané brothers can get up. Well, I'm assuming they're brothers. That's Toby and Landers, 33 and 50. We've seen big-time skies from both of them, and you see them setting up in the handler position right now. And they're just launching it deep straight away. It seems like Gentle have settled on a strategy, and they're going to keep rocking it. That one's got to hurt, I'm not going to lie. Giuseppe De Putter.
Yeah,
Bad Skid, drop it again. Huck and D. Decrane gets it into the middle. The waiting hands of Fuse. Fuse. Oh, this one De Putter manages to hold on to. Also hard to catch. Just about getting it there. And there's the hammer. Decrane collects it comfortably. I am very surprised that worked, but Van der Berg knew what he was doing. It's
5-1. I mean, well, there appears to be a call of some description, but I feel like that perhaps didn't really impact that play the most, but will allow the players on the field to chat it through. But
this is what we were talking about, well, right at the start, and I mentioned it briefly. The idea that there's moments in these games specifically, rainy games, horrible games weather-wise, where if you can just get on top for those 5-10 minutes, you can pound it and then just let the game dissolve back into an absolute war of attrition and trading 1 point with 10 turnovers a point. But you have to capitalize in the moment that it comes. This is the moment, and they are just pounding, getting all the breaks they can.
Absolutely. So I've had to press the undo button on that score with the hammer. And it's going to be, no, not second.
Well D'd up. Van der Berg just putting that in between potential receivers. I think it was Hartman who came through and got the decisive knock away for a Bad Skid. Yeah, it was Hartman.
Not the ideal thing. You don't really want to throw a blade. That angle at the best of times in ideal conditions is quite hard to come down with. It's got to hit you right in the webbing of the thumb. But Müller.
Vad Vogel. To Müller. And Vad Vogel again.
I only know Marco, really. I mean, he's one of the Müllers on Bad Skid, but he's a coach of the German women's national team.
Oh.
The one that sadly underperformed all of the expectations in GER back in 2019. But a lovely chap. And so sweet. So when you're watching this back, hi Marco. Although I feel like seeing him for the first time after 2 years, I'm not going to want to hug. Because A, COVID, and B, look at how wet they are. Oh, also, speaking of people who are not wet, we've had some shouts in the comments. So hello to T Green, watching on lunch break from a commercial archaeology site in North Wales. And
it's not wet in Wales.
Well, he's currently on his lunch break. And clear skies in Dublin.
That doesn't sound fair. And an unfortunate drop. Low shot, difficult one to bring in.
We've also had some help for you. Number 1 on the tank top is Tom Van Quatham.
Van
Quatham.
Perfect. Huge bid, but not getting anything for it. Floats it down the line, and now we see Bad Skid starting to work, and they have looked promising, but they've never really managed to finish these quick fire rounds. Trading the disc, moving it around as much as they can. Nico Müller spreads it out. Milo.
Oh,
and that was much more like the Bad Skid we know.
That's just a gorgeous inside, flat as it gets flick. So that is how the Bad Skid are going to slightly gnaw away at Gentle. But they've still got a fair deficit, and it ain't going to be easy. I really enjoyed the flying bid of number 33 for Gentle, Toby de Krone. We're going to absolutely massacre your surnames. I'm sorry, Gentle, but you can't knock them down for the lacking in intensity right now.
No. And I am personally a huge fan of the reckless abandon shots to the end zone. Especially when you've got people like De Krone who are going to commit trying to stop those. So we have a quick timeout here, 4-2. I really think not knocking it in there like the hammer shot that would have made it 5-1, that's could be the real turning point of this game.
Do you know what the call was, perhaps?
I think it was a pick.
Pick call.
Okay, the cut. Which is such an awkward one, because in those situations, depending on where your person is choosing to mark you from, any movement to the break side could lead to a pick. And that's not really fair if you're positioning yourself in the wrong place. But it's not always what happens. A lot of people cut through this stack.
Which you're not allowed to do in this sport. Some sports you are.
Basketball.
Indeed, in basketball.
The famous Rylands experiment in the UK, where they experiment with partial contact rules. You can look it up. Rylands 2009. They had an Irish team, a Scottish team, I think, and then 4 parts of England: southwest, north, east, and something else like that.
So contact basketball.
No, it was Frisbee.
Oh.
Rylands Frisbee. Look, RYLANDS 2009. You can find the highlights on YouTube. It was like an experiment they had in the UK, and they're like, right, we'll just play this one tournament where there's fouls, there's referees, can we get away with people? And full on an Irish player called Pixie just lays out some GB lad. It's pretty hilarious. It was a very tense tournament, apparently.
I can
But
well imagine.
fun highlights to watch. Comfortably. 5-2. So, bad skid. Is that Michael Butenmüller? No. That was Nico Müller. Gets it out to the sideline and then back into the middle for Marco Müller.
Müller.
Müller corner. Hartmann. I'm a really big fan of Hartmann. I really like the way the guy plays.
Oh,
He keeps going. Müller. Popping it down. So Badskid are starting to get the give-go. Their shorter game, which they prefer to play, is starting to work out for them. There were so many turns as they were getting used to the conditions earlier on. Lovely turn of pace. And a great finish by Nico Müller for the score. Buried his defender. So, I do think Badskid are getting more comfortable, playing their way into it. You can see the clear distinction between how the two teams want to play. One of them is just, we've got about 5 guys who can huck it, and we've got 5 guys who can catch it in ridiculous circumstances. Let's just keep going for that. And then Badskid, apart from Hare, who's put up a few, have largely been like, let's just work these unders, let's just lose them on the turn. One decent fake and turn that you don't fall down during, and you will be free. And that seems to be Badskid's approach right now.
Well, it makes it makes complete sense, right? They have that a bit more depth, a bit more experience, a bit more of a pedigree at this stage of a European Championships, whereas Gentle, by no means, you know, an out-and-out underdog. As you say, undefeated thus far in the tournament. So I feel like that it's just that they're showing off their true depth at Badskid at the moment. The fact that they don't just have to rely on that one big pass, because, you know, as the intensity gets up, as we get to the latter stages of the game, when the scoreline really starts to matter, that's the point where, you know, maybe it gets in your head, maybe the execution isn't quite so perfect.
The execution of that scooper was bloody perfect. De Crane floats it down the pitch. This is looking easy, brother to brother. De Crane collects and then pops it in for another score. That's fairly pretty. Who needs the pedigree if you can pull off a few moves like that? Really well worked.
Interesting choice of defense there. I didn't really have time to see exactly what it was that Badskid threw on, but the target for that scuba was completely unmarked.
It was beautiful. You can't really be letting Toby De Crane get that free, but Badskid have busted out a few zones, kind of going with a bit of a cup, a bit of a 3-3-1. I know some people used to call that the wall. Now, I don't know how you feel. Like, I prefer it when zones each had their own fun personal names based on what they kind of look like vaguely. You know, the Arrowhead, Trident, FSU, which looks like an alligator from Florida. But how do you feel? Because like the 3-3-1, 2-3-2, those kind of things sound more technical, but they're not as fun.
I'm with you. I prefer descriptive names, you know, especially with something like an Arrowhead. It makes a lot more sense. You know, you can really visualize it. As someone who's quite a visual learner, it works for me.
That's the most legitimate way someone's ever made that point on my Never. It isn't as cool. No, it helps visual learners.
Gotta know your learning style, as we see Nico Müller bringing us to the brick mark.
And that's a classic bad skid move. Floating it right back into the middle. Kings of the around break. Reinhardt working with Doscher. Spreading it all the way around the pitch. Müller. Reinhardt. They attack the front corner. They're starting to get a bit too congested until Müller makes a little shimmy shake and up the line for the score.
Yeah, I'm liking Fuse's attempt at the getting up in the mixer with the layout bid, but that's just quality German efficient offense. Just like flowing, like a beautiful babbling brook.
And it all and it all starts with that around break that puts them in the perfect place to typewriter their way up across the pitch. Start on the break side and then just keep taking that open options. I would have thought they got a bit too crowded towards the end. Could have done with another around break, but they pulled it off. We have seen that kind of stutter step thing fail them, so I wouldn't like to go to it too much. Of course, I'm not Müller, so.
Yet you wish you could be.
Oh, if I could be any of these players, who would I be? I like Hair. I really like his throws. I think they're fantastic. I've been a big fan of Aaron Goes for like a long time, since he was coming to Siege of Limerick. Maybe even as much as a decade ago with Gentle.
So that's the number 44 for Gentle, for those that don't know by sight.
Sorry. De Crane, 33, is just cool. He's just a cool looking dude.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And Bumalo wearing De Moulinaire's number as well, but doing it some fair service. As Gentle 6-4 up with the disc goes. Bumalo comfortably down the line to the Potter. Bumalo says no to Goes, and goes to De Crane. De Crane looks and launches. He sees his, who I assume is his brother, maybe cousin. Huge rescue, and that's why you're not afraid to put those kinds of shots up if you're Gentle. Is it a 50-50? It's kind of like a 60-40.
Well, you said you would quite like being De Crane, and that is a great example of the caliber of player he is.
That really resonates me with the reckless use of his physical frame.
Well,
for his own benefit. He wasn't risking other people. I mean, you know, when he's 40, he's going to feel that.
I mean, that seems like a solid investment. Could all be over tomorrow. Could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Why not? Why not? Why worry about it now?
Yeah, why have a pension when you could be struck by lightning?
I mean,
exactly. Financial advisor and commentary coordinator at EUCF, Hannah Pendlebury, officially agrees with me.
No,
there's no point in having a pension because we could all die tomorrow.
But if you survive the lightning strike, and then you can claim on your pension because it works as critical illness in the UK anyway.
There's some legitimate information for people who, you know, might have been just listening to too much of the constant shenanigans I say.
We have lots of scientists in Ultimate, lots of highly numerate people, lots of engineers, people that have spent very long periods of their lives at university.
We have a lot of nerds.
Yeah, we like nerds. I was talking about with Chopo, Santucci.
Big time shot. And this time it gets lucky for the bad skid side of things. Lennart Volmer scooping it up. Trying to reset, eventually finds Müller. Gets it again. And that's Reinhardt to Müller for the score. Bad skid starting to open themselves up and take a few shots. Don't mind that at all.
Well, they're taking the opportunity because the conditions have changed. It is a darn sight less windy than it was at the beginning of this game. And the rain is still very much a present here on the field, but it's a lot less heavy than it was.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you get clothes as a kid. It's not a present you want.
It's not something we want. Although, I'm going to set you a challenge, look. So when that just went up and we threw it back to you because the action was happening, I was going to say, I was talking to Chopo in the last game when we were covering Cusp versus Valkyria about nerdy things, and he's really into his D&D. So your challenge is set to put in a D&D reference in the next point. I believe in you.
I've got one already.
Oh, right.
I'm a big fan of D&D. I haven't got to play it that much, but like honestly, anybody, all the things that people infer about me through listening to my commentary, you'd probably infer a pretty healthy love for D&D or playing pretend in anything. I pretend to know what I'm talking about all the time.
And from the uninformed, D&D is Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh. I thought it was something else. Never mind.
What did you think it was?
Nothing I can say on stream. Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy game. I do also enjoy that quite a lot.
Nerdy things. I did say nerdy things. Anyway.
Looking for the big time shot. And they go for it, and that is beautiful. Although they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
And the beholder of the disc
is the crane.
Jinx.
Beautiful shot, and that takes half. 8-5, yes it does. I love the fact that Van de Vee'd up his options. Decided, somebody go deep. Somebody named Crane go deep. He did. Boom. Problem solved.
Pretty much. I mean, as you said, Gentle did the smart thing. They used the horrendous conditions to put themselves ahead in this game, and we haven't seen Bad Skid manage to snag a break back yet. We had the 3-point run, the 3-point lead, and Gentle started on offense. So coming into the second half, we're going to see Bad Skid coming out first with the disc in hand, but it's just keeping us trading. I feel like...
And Bad Skid have gotten more and more comfortable with their offense.
But it's the defense. They need to notch it up. They need to get a little bit angry. They need to get a little bit feisty.
Feisty Germans. Who doesn't like that?
Well, at the moment, it seems like all of the big plays, all of the big bids, like the Germans are just trying to kind of play. They tried to play some smart defense.
Yes.
They tried to, do some funky things.
I think they're overthinking it.
Yeah, I just think go toe to toe.
Why not?
Get up in the mix, get
maybe
in their
force
faces.
under a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, God, diggity. Gentle are good at going deep. Like, they're very good. They've got big receivers, and a lot of them can really boost it deep.
But do some solid matching and do some good switching. Communicate. Make sure you know who's the deepest player. If they have someone bossed off the back of the stack and you've been toasted, be a teammate.
Speaking of things Chapo told me about yesterday, he was talking about the whole, if you can get 24-plus passes as a defense, it's a success. So with exactly what you're describing there, sounds like it would be the perfect kind of thing to bring in and try and make them throw those 24 passes. Earlier in the game, the extra passes Bad Skid were throwing as they tried to get their offense moving really cost them. So, also the torrential downpour that lasted for about 5 minutes also helped. But I like that idea of hanging someone deep, giving up a couple of unders because they're going to drop one or two of them.
And even if they don't drop them, it's still that, it's a numbers game. That's why you see so many of the big, college teams, especially maybe where the chops are not in the States. Maybe not so much secure on the disc as the, the club level. Once you become a true adult, sad panda, it really makes sense to, when it's on, when you've got the opportunity, not always forcing it, but throwing those bigger throws, it just makes it easier. You gain so many more yards, better field position.
Nico Müller looking to set these things up. We'll see what they do on offense first, coming out in the second half, trying to keep that lead just at 2. Hartmann down the line to Müller. Marco back into the middle. Doscher. Reinhardt. Reinhardt's looking for Nico Müller. And there, the stutter steps. It's not going to work in these conditions, but they get away with it. That was Doscher with the final throw to Hartmann.
Yeah, talking about these conditions, actually, there have been some moments where my heart sort of jumped into my throat. There was a particularly kind of scary moment where number 94 for Gentle, Giuseppe Depotta, went for a little bit of a slide when we were in the midst of the nasty, nasty rain. And there was a little clutch of the knee as he hit the floor
I was wondering,
but thankfully jumped straight back up like a mole springing out of the ground. But we have seen a couple of people, we're not quite the level of slip and slidey where we're losing our feet, but my concern is if this weather continues, which it is due to, by the end of the tournament, we're going to be playing on a slip and slide. And this is a big old sports complex. It's brilliant. I love the facilities here. It's a very nice place to play Ultimate. However, I'm not sure how many backup fields we have and how many fields are being rested during this tournament. And these players are all cutting as hard as they can, so they're going to tear up the turf.
Just want to give a special shout out to Cy Hill for jumping on and giving us a nice Patreon donation. Appreciate it. And if you want to hear us sing your praises,
what do you get?
Send us
the ultimate player who has everything. A Patreon subscription.
Sounds like the perfect gift. And with Christmas just around the corner, and why not? Aaron van de Vee, another shot. He threw up a peach of a flick to end the half, launching a backhand, and it's a lot of hand fighting, and then an easy catch in the end. Toby de Crane, cool guys don't look at explosions. They just walk away.
Who's got time to watch an explosion? There's cool guy errands that they have to walk to, like going and hand slapping their teammates. What a roof, that was delicious.
That was meant. They were genuinely hand fighting for position. Like they were just sumo fighting for position, and then basket defenders slipped a little.
You need to explain for the viewers at home what exactly you mean by hand fighting.
So the greatest era of basketball ever was the late 90s to the early noughties.
Agreed.
And one of the reasons for that is because you were actually allowed to play defense. Part of playing that defense, along with setting picks, which you can still do, is hand checking people. And it's again one of the reasons why Michael Jordan is better than Kobe or LeBron could ever be. It's because of the hand checking, where basically you just do little mini sumo fights to try and gain position. And while that's technically against the rules in Ultimate, you'll find certain teams that are okay with it if you talk about it beforehand, or you do a little bit of the argy-bargy as it's known on the island of Britain. Oh no, that's something else. Sebastian, Hartmann, floating it, Mueller, chasing it, collects it. That was so much lead on it. And there's lovely little break. Mueller looking. He wants the dump. And they're having difficulty getting that first handler free, but as long as the second one comes in, Badskid seem comfortable enough holding on to possession. Dosher. Sit out and straight away back in. Very little hesitation on the wings, looking for those quick pops. Great offense.
So I'm really liking the Badskid offense at this point. It's still a lot of good go, a lot of the very secure, very well-worked connections. It's like, you know, you get those steps where there have been generations and generations of people standing on them, and then you put your foot in someone else's footprint. That's a little bit like what Badskid's offense is like, because they just know each other so well. What I really like is especially that lead pass that I think went to Nico Müller. They're starting to be a little bit more expansive, a little bit more leady, a bit more adventurous. It's nice to see that confidence growing.
I hear you, but I think one of the reasons Gentle pulled out ahead is because Badskid tried to do that out the gate, and it didn't work. And in the moments, like the rain held off for a little bit there, and you're like, that's how Badskid offense is supposed to look like. But it doesn't translate to these more extreme conditions as easily. It's a lot of passes, it's a lot of quick cuts, and losing guys with shoulder fakes. So I don't know how sustainable it is, or if they're just going to wind up trading until this game is over.
Especially because we're now seeing the conditions turning again.
That is an absolutely fantastic pull. Goes all the way back in the end zone. Van de Vee has it, the cranny in front of him. He was thinking about hucking it. I assume he's always thinking about hucking it. I would too if I could throw like that. And that is a very brave collection. Somehow pulling that off. Boomalal, I thought he was going to have to bid or maybe just let it go. Gets back to goes. Seems to be a little bit of discussion and confusion. So Boomalal being marked by Hare. And Hare saw a lot of the disc early in the game when there were so many turnovers, but he really hasn't got that many chances to get his hands around it recently, and that has to be concerning if you're looking for breaks and your D-line is just not touching the disc that much. Boomalal gets it to Van der Vee. Takes a bit of effort, though. And they're not really working their way out of there. That's a beautiful break. De Crane thinks about it. Another beautiful break, sending it to his brother. And that was smooth, silky, and significant. 10-7.
And that is Gentle firing on every single cylinder in the warehouse. The complete lack of hesitation, just the instinctual put from Landa de Crane was just insane. It's like he didn't even look. He just knew. He sensed it in his waters. It was bubbling.
I could feel it in me waters. He just knew. He knew two players were going deep. It was going to be fine. I'm still trying to act out what he did to work out how he did it. That was one of the most impressive throws I've seen all weekend.
Don't try and reason with it. It makes no sense. It's a nonsensical throw, and I loved everything about it.
So gentle. It going, keeping that lead out in front of them. As they chase down, Bad Skid need to make a stand, and they need to do it soon. Into the middle. Muller. Is Reinhardt in front of him? Van Vogel collects that one to the delight of Muller. Very risky pass. Under these conditions, if you don't put spin on the disc, the wind will knock it off its axis. And not even the wind, the rain coming down. So Van Vogel. See, they have all of one person super deep. I think it might be Volmer. Muller.
In the next point. Otherwise, I think we're probably going to see Gentle because they still have. You can just see the energy, the excitement in them. Like, the Bad Skid are just all cold, sharp. Yeah, we got this. The offense is working, it's clicking, it's moving. So, I don't know Bad Skid well enough to know what it is that they need to bring for their defense. But they got to do something.
Well, they're missing two big-time deep defenders in the Budemullers, and that's always going to be a little bit difficult to react to. But at the same time, I think when you were talking earlier about just push them under and do to Gentle what they did to you, just make them throw loads of passes. Now, you found your groove, and Bad Skid are pulling these passes off, but all those breaks came because Gentle were like, yeah, go ahead, try and do that. Try and throw 30 passes just as it started raining. See how that works out. And it didn't work out well for a while. So I would like to see that. Maybe with like the deep poach you were talking about, maybe some switching further downfield.
But I think it's deeper than just the technicalities. At the moment, it feels like a mentality thing. Because we're just trading, we're just in that rhythm. So they've got to do something a bit funky. But I do like how, just on the Bad Skid offense, the players...
Dancing, diving, not able to get free goals. He's going to have to bid. He does. Up all day, the veteran.
See, I'm quite close to the ground. I'm not 100% sure, because I'm currently shoveling sandwich into my face. But this is what we have to do for the love of this game. Take lunch breaks during commentary games. I'm quite close to the ground. I am not quite sure.
In fairness, Goes is quite close to my heart, as I earlier said, so I would feel pretty biased towards him. Oh, they seem to be letting it go.
Yeah, cool, good. I mean,
letting it goes.
Hey. It was a beautiful play to take it from here, because it's...
Well, we're coming up on an hour in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some time left, but not a huge amount.
But not that much time in terms of the scoreline.
Fair.
Gentle only have to put 4 more points in, and they're putting them in pretty clinically.
Yeah, that was the first real crack in the armor we'd seen in a while. So Bad Skid, first off, they need the hold, so we don't need to be getting ahead of ourselves. Gentle coming back out in that zone. Looks a bit like a 3-1-3, almost, because they're not getting very tight on those handler marks like you would in an FSU. Oh, now they are. Now they seem to be switching up to poaching. A lot of poaching downfield, and they are melting. Ultimately, I think Bad Skid are as confused as Gentle, and it works out. That could be critical. Smooth shot, well taken in. Tom Van Catham.
Not going to say I told you so, Lux, but I told you so. That's the third break of the game, and it's another one that goes to the Gentle open players.
You did
really?
Tell me so.
Oh, no, I know.
But everybody loves saying I told you so. Everybody loves saying it.
There's a certain amount of smugness that you can get away with, and I've reached it. But I really, really like that look defensively from Gentle, because they know that the rain's picked up. They know that the D-line had the opportunity and just fluffed a catch after a really nice one. That was just one of the, you know, the catches of doom where there's just too much twist and you can feel it in the wrists as it all goes wrong. It's like it happens in slow motion. But with that defensive look, they were sort of sagging off the handlers. They weren't really tight marking. But it's a little bit like playing a muzzle-toss zone, which is it's the term that people that I play Ultimate with use to refer to a no-mark zone, and it messes with people's heads. I think in some situations having a tight mark makes you play better, but we'll see what happens in this next point. Still ain't over, but it's getting pretty close.
As we see Vlad Vogel with the disc, looking to hit in the middle and waiting for it. Hartmann, quick and easy pop. Mueller and Badskid flowing down the pitch. This is the kind of response you want. And punishing Gentle for going with the match defense. Comfortable shot in the end. Duscher to Mueller.
I don't think that was comfortable. I think Mueller had to really, really shelter himself and squeeze at him. But it worked.
I still think the final throw, tough. Small window. But up to that point, the kind of flowing width, length, length you come to expect of the box style the Germans really epitomize.
Yeah.
Right at the end, maybe getting a little too Italian with it.
I'll give you that.
But
or Colombian.
Or Colombian. 9-12. Tough one when you just give up that break. They really need the run now. And what's the line they're putting out to do? They're keeping with a pretty standard D-line, not doing too much mixing up. I mean, Stefan Doscher staying out there for the experience. Apart from that, largely a fresh D-line. Mueller as well. Big time shot. As here come Badskid.
Talking about the slip and sliding nature of the pitch, that ball nearly caused a full-on stumble.
Van de Vee goes. Nice under to De Crane. The De Crane brother. Oh, foul or a hand block? Looks like it's a foul. No dispute from Doscher. Stefan Doscher, fantastic German player. Very fair-minded. De Crane, who's really making a bit of a... Well, he certainly made a huge impact on me and looking to make a huge impact on this tournament. Land there. Was that one up? He's willing to accept it could have been down. Certainly, because the rule is if it touches a blade of grass. So it probably did. So big opportunity for Badskid now. We said they needed to get the break here. Mueller beautifully into the middle to Doscher. Quick pop out. Runs to the break side. And that's a strip. Uncontested strip for a second there. That would have been a heartbreaking way for Badskid to lose their break opportunity. Hare being marked by Bulmalal is interesting. So I would expect Hare to be able to get the turn of pace and find himself free in a side. Nice swing by Duscher. And he stretches, and it counts. Nice. Perfect time for a break.
Absolutely. Stefan Doscher with the goal. And a little bit of delicate footwork there. Just a bit of pitch awareness for you. But, as you say, they needed that break desperately. Got themselves within two. But that's their first break of the game. Either we're going to see an absolute train.
Badskid to come back, and they are flowing down this pitch in the fashion that they like. There's the catch. Oh, no.
I don't like that option. You'd already seen Hiller have a stumble as he was making his undercut. Just not got the center of gravity set. Poor option.
Van de Vee calls for the under. Lander completely unmarked as Badskid. Sell out to go back. What a hammer. Soars through the sky. Three defenders. Breaking through Toby De Crane. You can't stop him.
You really can't. I was thinking to myself when I was maybe 3 or 4 points ago, I was like, oh, I would throw a hammer in that situation. And I thought about it and I was like, well, actually it's really wet and a hammer is not always the easiest throw to catch, sometimes a bit challenging. Add that with a hoof full of rain, you're asking a lot of your player. However, Gentle keep asking a heck of a lot of Toby De Crane, and he is answering every single phone call. He's like on a switchboard, you know, wires coming out here, there, everywhere. I love it.
Sick layout grab, sick 50-50 battle win that he walks away from like it's nothing. Nice consistent unders. Reading the disc perfectly. 2 defenders in front of him, takes the step, draws them to him, and then just steps past them and takes it at height. Single hand in the rain. Very impressive. Exactly the kind of play that puts Gentle where they need to be again. I really thought Badskid were about to make this one tight.
Well, as I say, it was either going to be a run or it wasn't. And I gotta say, I favour Gentle at this stage.
Coming into it, I think based on legacy, I would have favoured Bad Skid. I think a lot of people would have, even with the both squads' hits to their players.
Oh, I'm with you. That was my assumption.
But
and I assumed wrong.
Yeah, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Gentle are showing a fight and a tenacity that sometimes the lack of has held them back on previous European campaigns. As now they throw on a slightly different looking zone. Trying to trap on the sideline. Dosher. He wants the pop. He has Mueller behind. Hits him. And there's the melt to man. Mueller swinging all the way around. Hartmann. Mueller. And then a comfortable shot in and a nice quick score for Bad Skid.
I still really love this Bad Skid offense. It is so nice to watch. They just know each other. They know when to leave space. They know when to pause, when to go. But right now, you just have to be honest. Today is just...
Fine, but there's just a bit too much movement here. Pops it back. Working a little bit of a give and go with Dosher. And there's a pick. There. Dosher. And Bad Skid continue. Just this quick give-go across the front. Lots of horizontal movement. He wants that inside break. He really wants it, and Lander knows. A little bit of a shoulder barge to get some personal space. Short pass to Vlad Vogel. Good coverage, great defense, and Boumalal lays out and gets the block.
Yeah, trying
Small
to force
windows.
it. Trying to force it far too hard. You gotta coax it a bit gentler than that.
Van de Vey fakes one and then goes for the exact same huck over the defender, but De Grane got pulled in.
Yeah, great defense there from Simon Hiller. Just kept his composure, read it beautifully, and probably has maybe like half an inch over De Grane. It helps, right?
That was about the defensive aggression, moving in quickly from Simon Hiller, drawing De Grane to him rather than letting De Grane read the disc and just catch it in a comfortable way a few steps down the line. But you go to the well too many times, it will run dry. Like you were saying earlier, I'd like to see a bit more variation from Gentle, the ability to work it under perhaps. Lots of pressure from De Grane, gets the turn. Why work it under when you can huck and D and just go into an end zone drill? There's the timeout from Goes.
Yeah, big pressure. He probably would have liked to have been hit a bit more, so he could have called a foul.
Why'd it have to be so clean?
Why do you have to have such composure, such good body control?
Terrible.
Curses.
Terrible crack. This has actually turned into a real, well, it's been a real screamer of a game for a lot of it. It was messy, it was dirty, it was muddy at the start.
Well, but that was in itself quite an exciting opportunity. We saw that kind of, because everyone's been there. We've all been in that situation where the elements are just deeply unpleasant. There's no other way to describe them. And so it's actually kind of nice to see how two elite open teams deal with that weather system, this maelstrom around us. It's just, on the plus side, the only plus side we can say is at least it's slightly less windy. However, if you'd like to put some wind in your sails, wind in our sails, to push forward the streaming experience that you're currently getting, if you would like to, behind us, then you can become a Patreon subscriber by going to ULTI.TV's Patreon and signing yourself up for a monthly.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
So just like Hannah was saying, if you want this top quality content like Lander de Grane shooting it to nobody in front of the end zone, then you can pay Patreon, support us. Huge shot all the way back. Vlad Vogel against Goes. Vlad Vogel collects it right in the front of the end zone, and there's the veteran move by Goes to just shut off the pass straight away and then get back onto the force.
I love that hug so much. Oh my goodness, what a throw that was! So I just watched the previous game slot. We had Valkyria versus Kushchow, and watching Sarah Eklund run deep and be about 2 or 3 meters free, seeing the huck go up far too late and not reaching her was just devastating. So that was almost like a release of all the built up anxious energy that I had watching Sarah Eklund get underthrown. Oh, that was such a beautiful huck. Oh.
What a time. So Bad Skid waiting for the best times possible, really, to get their breaks back. And they're doing them one at a time, running out of space to do it. Gentle on the offense. And you can see maybe starting to get a little bit frayed. Bad Skid feeling confident. No. As here come Bad Skid, furious, fast, Goes, Van der Vee. Once the deep shot doesn't go with it, tries to get through the Lander in the middle. This is a very poachy offensive set, or defensive set by Bad Skid. You can see them peeling off from far sideline handlers to try and influence the open side. Really well done by Gentle not to fall for it. Lander goes for the soft over the top. And Gentle taking their time, which is something contested one, but well done by Depote to get it. Flows down, and that's unfortunate. That was out of bounds, it has to be said. Very fair by Toby to accept it without complaint. Big opportunity for Bad Skid to fight their way back into this matchup and tie it up for the first time since ones. Vlad Vogel has Hair in the middle, goes back to Mueller. Now they hit Hair. We know Hair can send it if someone wants to go. Beautifully weighted throw down the line. Doscher has Mueller in the middle but doesn't go to him. That's Shands. Flowing around Doscher again, right in front of the end zone. Goes to the quick pop, huge bid, but Hair I think gets there first, calls the foul. Understandably so. I feel like Hair had control of that before Giuseppe De Potter got in. But then again, I'm not out there on the pitch, mercifully.
Oh, that was, yeah, definitely a tight battle. And the Bad Skid players just doing a little hand gesture to be like, simmer down, yo, simmer down.
Remember, keep it calm, relaxed.
Easy does it, lads. Easy
Slow
does
and
it.
steady, crushes the Belgian dreams.
Woof.
This is a lot of conversation for what I think
Well,
most viewers would consider a pretty risky bid by Depote.
Yeah, it's an important point, right? This is the point where Gentle are seeing what felt like it was meant to be. I said it myself. They're seeing it starting to slowly slip out of their paws.
A lot of fight in the Germans.
Well, it is that interesting thing, isn't it? They're not. They have. I was trying to struggle because I haven't. You know, I don't get allowed to watch this many open games.
So we see again.
Yeah, we're currently watching the stream on a little bit of a delay. It's our only way of really getting replays so much. But it's an interesting angle on the two coming in at the same time. So having a little look at that back now in a little bit delay.
So it's going back to Dosher.
Yep, the angle.
That's a fair
of
resolution.
Yeah, I think it was probably a fair bid, but both players coming in from awkward angles. But yeah, I think it's the Germans have just switched it on, but like it's like an ice chill, like a cold metal steel defense.
Van der Vaay wanted to lay out on that one, but he knows he can't leave a completely exposed end zone to Muller, otherwise that's a guaranteed goal. 57 for Badskid, whose name we didn't get, has been fantastic and a key part of their comeback, playing basically every point for the second half. Dosher. Again, there's that isolation front cut that the handlers like to do afterwards, but it's just not easy here. Pritsch. It's a back to Vad Vogel. Vad Vogel swings it around, taken in by Dosher. That's a scintillating break, and the score to Pritsch.
Wow. You know what? I really, really, really enjoy being proved wrong when it's two teams
that makes one of
caliber.
us.
When you get proved wrong and it's, you know, perhaps a team that's being beaten by their own errors rather than anything else, I really like the cool, calm, determined defense that Badskid have been applying to Gentle. They've been really trying to just squeeze, you know, they've got the foot on the back of the neck and they're just putting some gas in the tank, just, you know, just slowly applying that pressure. Because what did you see? You're not seeing out and out failures of Gentle Open's offense. You know, we just had an out of bounds, squeezed into just a little bit too far. De Crene made the catch, but he just didn't get the catch on it. I think it was De Crene. The catch right in front of us. So right now we're getting a timeout call. Unsurprisingly. We've not got much time left on the clock.
My confusion there, sorry, wasn't about the De Crane thing. I was looking to see, is it right the Badskid are on a 5-1 run right now? From 8-12 to 13-all?
Not quite. So we went from 8-12 when we saw Gentle get their last break of the game. Then we went 9-12, 10-12. And there's a little trade there. And then we've had 3 on the trot from Badskid. So I believe I said at 10-13, I still liked the look because that was Badskid got their first break of the game. I was like,
which is crazy.
I still like.
Who didn't?
Gentle.
I felt the exact same at the time.
But I think this is where that just edge of the maturity of Badskid. I mean, Nico Müller, as you said, barely come off the pitch. And with
Nico
good reason.
Dosher is always like to see Pritsch out in the defensive end. Big fan of the 40 for Badskid. So let's see what they do. So frequently it's Van der Weyden to Lander, De Crane. Back to Van der Vaay. Has De Vrint in front of him. De Vrint, remember, has hops and got some good grabs. Bomelal. You can see the patience that they're coming at it with now. Toby De Crane immediately boosts it deep, but they'd set it up so it's a one-on-one and the comfortable collection by Arthur Van der Vaay.
We have a game on our hands. We knew it was going to be great because power pools. But, oh man, sudden death, please. If we can all agree, I want sudden death.
I would like to see it go to 14-all.
Yeah.
Of course, I think it would be fantastic. Gentle held their nerve there, really well done. Badskid have done a fantastic job putting pressures on those shots. Made him play a few more unders to unlock the deep shot to Arthur Van der Vaay, whose name we haven't actually called so much. That's the number 90. Again, if we go to the commenters and just confirm the same way you did for the De Crane, are the Van der Vays also brothers as well? Because those are some talented Frisbee families.
Well, you've not got long to tell us as we reach the business end of this matchup.
Squeaky bum time. So will we see sudden death, universe point, 14-all, or can Gentle get a little rough? Here's the big shot. Go sharing acres of space. Nobody near a miscommunication. Sudden death. Oh, no, he didn't catch it in.
Not quite.
Bit too excited. Hartman. Sudden death.
It's an action replay. Yeah, goal called by Gentle players. So we've had... I really like the way that Bad Skid just scored that point, because it was extremely similar to the way in which Gentle scored their last point of this game. You know, you had probably a few more passes required for Gentle in order to settle themselves, whereas Bad Skid, Müller, disc in hand, Stosha going. Those guys have been playing together for such a long time. It's just a beautiful connection. And I like, actually, that it just got to the goal line. Just shows the quality of Nico Müller as a thrower. You know, other lesser players in that situation might have put a bit too much sauce on it and put it out the back. Man's got a big arm. I back him. I reckon he could probably throw that far. But
all right, so here's the big question. Who do you back now? You still holding on to Gentle? You fancied them for most of this game?
Okay, I'm gonna change my allegiances because of the fact that Gentle, in order to settle themselves, had to do those couple of passes. Bad Skid are really biting at their heels, I think. And
you
it's
think Bad
also
Skid?
harder to come out on offense against.
Before they catch it, I'm just going to say in counterance. Boomalal, Van der Weyden. I'm already wrong. It's going to go to Van der Weyden, then it's going to go to Lander, then it's going to go to Toby.
All right, but look how deep the Bad Skid players are. They're letting them have the unders. They're so worried about the deeps.
As you would be. It's a really smart play by the Bad Skid defenders. Van der Weyden to Van der Weyden. And turning down the open shot.
Well, it's theirs to give up right now. It's theirs to give up, like on prom night.
Boomalal. This is a lot of pressure they're putting them under. That's Arthur Van der Weyden, number 90. Well taken in. Simon Dennis Kittels. Dennis Kittels, under a lot of pressure, just gets it to Boomalal, who's very secure on low grabs. And that's brilliant by the Crown. He goes for the shot to his brother, and they win 15-14. Gently does it into the quarterfinals.
Like I said, Loken, I love being proved wrong, and that was brilliant. You saw Bad Skid completely just so scared of the deeps, giving them the unders.
But they weren't the only ones who were quite impressive. Boomalal were really, ungentle. Boomalal, I was really impressed with how sturdy he was in the handling sets, and like some of those catches he made in the rain, in the wind, under pressure at his ankles. Not easy to do, and that's the kind of steadying presence that is always great to have. Something that will stand to them as they go into the quarterfinals. But like you said, they may want to tighten things up a bit more if they plan on making it into a semi.
Indeed, and it is, I mean, you can't have asked for more from that game. I had just so much pleasure watching it. We had fun and games with the elements, but I mean, heck, I guess that's the thing. When you're so used to being well-drilled, playing clinical systems, sometimes you just got to get a little bit loose and throw some fun up and put your young lads under it and just go get it. Credit to Gentle, but what a comeback from Bad Skid. 3 unanswered just as the door was closing on them. Real credit. I'm sure both teams will go on to do very well in the rest of this tournament.
Absolutely. So, the rest of the tournament still means a lot of Ultimate left to come, not just in the Open division, in all 3 divisions across the next 3 more days. So coming up next at 22-4, which is in just 13 minutes, we have 2 different divisions coming to you. Here on Field 2, we have the women's crossover, and that's a battle to get into the quarterfinals. And then we have the end of the mixed pool on Field 3, and that is Flo Wroclaw taking on Mainzelrenner. So if you're very much interested in the mixed division, those are 2 teams definitely worth getting a look at.
I mean, to be honest, this is the beautiful thing about 2 free-to-view streams live on YouTube. You can do double device. You can find a friend and watch them together. Or maybe you're stuck watching us on mute surreptitiously with your phone or another internet-enabled device sat on your lap as you're trying to concentrate on the latter stages of your working day. But it's Friday. We're happy to be here. It's raining and it's windy.
And it's time to get down on Friday, so keep it here at ULTI.TV on YouTube for all the free streaming of the xEUCF 2021. I've been Luca Miglioretto.
I've been Hannah Pendlebury.
We'll see you later.
That was fun, but also wet.
ULTI.TV.